So y'all didn't really beef. Y'all just, I'm assuming, just kind of grew apart.
No, we definitely had some beef, but I think it was because we definitely had some beef, but I think that it was because we were very different and we were very immature. Like we did our best, but I just think neither one of us were emotionally mature enough to understand ourselves or each other enough. I think that like moving forward, maybe if we were married today, like I think maybe we would be able to work through it because we co-parent now. We have a son together, and I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, we're kind of on the same page a little bit. Like we co-parent very well. We just weren't supposed to be together.
I feel you.
Just weren't mature enough.
Throughout that process of you being married the second time, do you think that, or did your life kind of transition into something you think that really started to take off or work for you, or did that come after your second marriage?
So when I got divorced from him, when I filed for divorce, I don't know, I tapped into a different side of me. I
So it
felt
was
like
after that, after
yeah,
the
it was
divorce.
after that. I think like there I did a lot of growing in that marriage, but I also towards the end was like busting at the seams. Like I was just like I'm there's more than this and I don't know, this is not working for me. But I didn't really understand it at the time.
What wasn't working for you?
Just life, the relationship. Like again, I felt like no, I'm meant for more. My relationship should be different. My life should be different. Like this is not it for me. And he's very much like corporate America, like have a degree, get your 401k, blah blah blah. So when you asked earlier about
Mm-hmm.
how in relationships, yeah, that relationship, he was very much like work your job, get your 401k, have your savings, like live a normal life. Why are you trying to do all this extra stuff? You always trying to do extra stuff. That was a challenge also in our a big challenge in our relationship. So
Mm.
for me, I'm still trying to do all these things. So at the end, I'm just like, no. So I mean, like the second I filed for divorce, I started a podcast called 30, Flirty, and Thriving. I was a little bit past 30, but I was still like, I'm 30, flirty, and thriving. I'm out here trying to live my best life. And I just started doing all of the things that I was scared of before, that I had held back from before, like traveling the world, my podcast. Um, doing more hustling and you know what I mean, like getting different jobs on the side, trying different things, saying yes to everything, and really figuring out who is Amber outside of the mom, who is Amber outside of the wife.
Yeah,
I've been a wife and a mom my whole life.
yeah.
Who the hell am I just as a person, as a human being, an individual? I didn't even know. I didn't even up until that point. I had to get a new car when my husband and I got divorced. We, you know, had our both our names on the car. So it was like you got to refinance or get a new car, or do something. I was
Mm.
like, I don't even know what kind of car I like. I don't know what
Mm.
kind of car I want. I don't know what color. I don't know what the like type of car. Nothing, because I've
Yeah.
always been married. These decisions have always been joint, and I've always just leaned on him for that leadership. I don't know. I had to figure everything out.
Mm.
So, and it was beautiful. Like I fully figured out who I am outside of being a wife, outside of being a mother. And it's like, you know, I wish I would have had the opportunity to develop this before I started having families, but
Mm.
it is what it is. I'm here
Do you
now.
think that like how do you think that women today kind of view that? Because it's kind of like a gender war that's happening right now, right? And that you have the traditional mindset versus technology, modern times, opportunity, women being able to choose for themselves. They can vote how they want to vote. They can go and make as much money as they want to make, right? It's a completely different time than maybe what our grandparents or our great grandparents kind of played out, right? How do you think that your life, right, and that it seems as though women don't necessarily want that. Listen, I just don't want to work and just sit down and do the 401k with the corporate guy or whatever
Mm-hmm.
anymore. They kind of want to kind of figure it out for themselves and maybe go and live life and then maybe settle down later on. Do you think that that's a something that you would kind of recommend to women, or do you think that that's something that most women is just not really built for?
I
Honestly.
feel like you got to do what makes sense for you. I definitely, now being older and wiser, I feel like I wish I would have taken the time to do all of those things
Mm-hmm.
before I got in a relationship. I was a serial monogamist. I've been married more than half my life at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how I dated. I definitely had a few years where I dated and stuff, but it wasn't really for me. I wish I would have done more of that still. I wish I would have done more of that because I feel like in dating, you get to know yourself. Oh, how are you raised? How many siblings? You ask questions, you
Mm.
answer questions, and you discover things about yourself, and you gain perspective from other people who had very different lives than you. So I think that it can be almost like a cathartic or a therapeutic experience to date. So I think definitely do that. And then now too, I have friends who are like, listen, I'm only settling down if he meets A through Z, period. And I'm like, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I'm the type of person, I feel like no matter who you're with, you're going to deal with some level of bullshit. So you just got to decide like which levels are tolerable. I always say basically you should go into any relationship with a list of deal breakers. If you do any of these things, I'm out, period. Like you have to have your boundaries, you have to have your deal breakers, and they should be non-negotiable. So if you do these things, we're not going to talk it out. You're not going to apologize. We're not going to work through it. No, it's a deal breaker. You knew that. I told you that from jump. I'm out, period.
So, at what point from the time that you got divorced did you meet the guy that you're married to now?
So we met, I think, 3 years after I got divorced, and I had dated, and I was in like a really whack situationship for like a year and a half, 2 years out of that time. So like again, still very much a serial monogamous. I was monogamous, he wasn't, but like nonetheless, but I still dated and all of that. So, but yeah, it's 3 years, and then he's for sure my person. Like I'm cool
How do you know? And
because
I'm not asking just for you, right? I'm
yeah.
asking for everybody that watches this because, you know, how do you know that that's your person? How do you know that you're not gonna outgrow them, right?
Well, and I honestly, I think that's me and my husband talk about this sometimes. I'm like, I think marriage contracts should be renewed. Like, you should have to like drivers, like basically, I feel like drivers licenses should too. But I feel like you should have to kind of like reevaluate your situation every like 3 to 5 years. Where are we
Mm-hmm.
at? How do we feel? Should we renew this contract? Because that's what it is, or do we kind of go our separate
Yeah.
ways? So yeah, so it's definitely a possibility that I can outgrow him for sure, but he's my person, and I say that because he's the only person I've ever met that just not only allows me to 100% be myself but encourages me to 100% be myself.
Mm-hmm.
He has not asked me to change, do anything differently, be more this, be less that, but literally just like, yes, do more of that. Yes, like, yeah, I love it. Like, he has been my biggest cheerleader, my biggest champion, sincerely, genuinely, without any ulterior motives. And it's healthy. It's the only healthy relationship I've ever had.
Mm.
You know, we've been together 3 years now, and it's I'm still like, this is normal? Like, this is normal to be this healthy? Like, you don't have to scream at each other and have this toxic ass passive aggressive like underlying shit going on. You can just be loving and kind, and this is okay, and this is normal. It's weird as shit when I'm not used to it,
Yeah.
but it's beautiful. And I feel like, yeah, this is what I've been needing in my life. If I'm going to dedicate myself to a person, I want it to be a person that can appreciate me for who I am as I grow and change too. When I
Mm-hmm.
change my mind or I change things, like, he rolls with it. That's dope. Like, do you?